Good afternoon. Our question today comes from Dan Locke. And Dan asks, he says, first of all, as a new father, one of my questions is how do I get my 3-month-old to stay asleep during nap time? Dan, I have no advice whatsoever for you with that one, so we wish you well. But the rest of his question says this. Also, in general, how can I foster a healthy spiritual life for my family, not just my personal walk? Dan, this is a question that I think is extremely important. It's actually something that I've wrestled with quite a bit as a father of 4. My wife and I have been blessed with 2 sons and 2 daughters, and our kids are basically all young adults at this point. We have 2 in college, 2 in high school, but the one in high school is just about to finish high school. And so over the course of the past 20 plus years, I've been wondering about this a lot. How do you foster a good spiritual environment in your home? How do you train your children and teach them the importance of following Jesus and what it actually looks like to be a devoted and committed follower of his? Some of the principles that I think have really helped me are the ideas of teaching, modeling, and pointing their heart to Jesus. And I'll explain what I mean by each of those. I think one of the things that was very obvious to me before I even had children was the fact that I would need to teach them about what it looked like to follow Jesus. And so I had in my mind just times that we would set aside as a family where I would talk about these things and teach them and instruct them in direct teaching. And that's certainly something that has been a priority during the course of the time here that my wife and I have been raising our kids. But something else that I think is also important is the idea of modeling what you're teaching, because one of the things that my kids have made clear to me over time is the fact that, yes, they're hearing what I'm saying, but they'll actually listen to what I say if I model what I'm talking about. And they have observed a variety of things put into practice in my life and in my wife's life where they can see that we actually mean what we're saying. And because they have seen that we mean it, I think it has a lot more impact. But a third aspect of what I just mentioned is the idea of pointing their hearts toward Jesus. And I know that, and I'm saying that in a very specific way, because I think a lot of times as parents, especially when your children are young, but this really does continue into their teen years and early 20s, and that's as far as I've gotten, so I know that it continues at least into that stage. You want to impact some behavior change on their part, right? So when they're younger, you're trying to correct bad behaviors. But there's a deeper level of teaching that I think is important to understand. And that's the fact that through Christ, our hearts are changed. And so as a parent, one of the things that you want to do, as a father in your case, Dan, one of the things that you want to do is to point their hearts toward Jesus. Because if Jesus changes a person's heart, then behaviors come in line as well. Now, there's an interesting scripture from the book of Deuteronomy that I want to share with you. It's from Deuteronomy chapter 6. And it's a portion of scripture that illustrates how all throughout the course of your life, you could take every opportunity and turn it as a moment where you can point your child's heart toward the Lord. And it could be in those planned moments, it could be in unplanned moments, it could be just something that happens a bit organically. But let me read to you from Deuteronomy chapter 6. And in Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting with verse 6, and I'll read down to verse 9, it says this: "And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children." So you see that direct teaching mentioned there. But then it says, "And shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates." So one of my favorite aspects of that scripture is the fact that it's basically saying, okay, directly teach your children, but also when you're taking a walk with them, talk about these things. When you're decorating your house, put things around your house that would point their hearts toward those things. And that's actually something that my wife and I have often thought about. And so different spots in our house, you'll see different things with scripture different things that are pointing our hearts to Christ. Even in our kitchen, we have just kind of a big scriptural imprint on the wall in our kitchen that all of us see whenever we're gathering together for a meal. But that portion of scripture says, yes, there's moments where you directly teach, but then there's also moments where it's just you're living your life as someone who genuinely loves the Lord. And you take those moments to instruct your children by your example, in conversation, along the way as they see you interact with people. I remember several years ago, I had an instance where a guy, for no good reason, it had nothing to do with me, really just snapped and lost his cool, and I happened to be the recipient of his behavior. And one room over from where I was having this conversation with this man, both of my sons were present, and they were listening as I interacted with this guy and I diffused the situation. And I told them it's just like it tells us in the book of Proverbs that a soft answer turns away wrath. A soft answer turns away wrath. I was able to calm the guy down by just diffusing the situation. We used that as a teachable moment, and I was able to demonstrate something to them from Scripture. And I know that because they saw that happen in real time, it's something that's stuck in their head ever since. A couple other things that I wanted to share with you that I think are pretty helpful when you're trying to create a healthy spiritual atmosphere or a healthy spiritual culture in your household, and that's integrity and consistency. Something I think about as a pastor, I think about this frequently. I'm in front of people teaching and instructing, and I want to be the same guy on stage that I am in every other sphere of my life. So if I'm up on a stage or up on a platform teaching other people, I want to make sure that I have integrity in what I'm saying and in how I'm living when I'm not in a very visible spot like that. So whether I'm by myself or whether I'm in front of a group or a congregation or an audience, I want to make sure that it's the same guy in both places. And your kids will pick up on that if you have integrity. And they'll also pick up on the fact that you're being consistent. So that helps a child feel safe. That helps them feel protected. If you are consistent, if you consistently apply the things that you say are important and the things that you're trying to teach, that's going to make a difference in how they respond and in how they interact with the teaching that you're conveying. One other thing, Dan, that I would encourage you highly to be aware of, and that's the importance of being on the same page as your wife. If you work together as a team to model this and to insist on this in your household, that carries a lot of weight. And it's also something that will teach your children to respect each of you, because as they see you respecting your wife, as they see your wife respecting you, and as they see the two of you working together toward the common goal of raising them to know and to love Jesus, that's going to have a deep impact on their growth and their walk with the Lord as well. So that's it for us today. Thanks again, Dan, for the question. And if you're watching this video and you have a question that you'd like to see answered on an upcoming video, I hope you'll leave it in the comment section below, because as we go on with this project to answer 30 questions in 30 days, I'm going to be selecting future questions from some of the comments that are left on previous videos. So please leave a question in the comment section for a future video. I'm looking forward to some of the things that will be asked and that we'll be able to address in upcoming videos. And if you haven't already done so, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Our family, we're still on vacation right now, out here in the country, out in Bethel, Pennsylvania, enjoying some time away. I hope the wind that I'm experiencing right now isn't diminishing the audio quality of this video, but it's been a bit windy over the past few days. In fact, I don't know if you can see, let me see if I can point right here where my finger is. That is a tree that, if you can see it laying there, the other day we were sitting here on this porch, and the wind came through and knocked that tree down, and we all happened to see it. And it was a little bit of a surprise, but, kind of interesting to be able to view that while we're on vacation. But again, thanks for joining us today. Like and subscribe. Leave your questions in the comment section below, and we'll catch you next time.